Greetings, everybody. I am Young Penitent, and welcome to my Icon Corner. As you can see, I have here with me Subdeacon John, and this is a continuation of our series, the X-Files series, and I'm bringing on people who have prominent accounts on X, which is also known as Twitter. So welcome to my channel, Subdeacon John.
Hello, thank you.
So generally what we do is we ask our guests, we let our guests introduce themselves. So how would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, well, by my name, I'm a subdeacon in the Orthodox Church. Well, there's something I think in the description was a little off.
Oh.
I belong to Acrod.
Oh.
Yeah, not Rocor.
Oh, I thought you were. You should have notified me about that.
You know, I just noticed it. I apologize.
Okay, I can change that.
Because somebody texted me about looking for a wife, because that was in the description. I'm like, what are you talking about? I went and looked. I read. I said, oh, okay, yeah, because I didn't even see the description till like right before this.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think well, I've seen you post that a couple times about that. Like you were like something about, oh, you were gonna get married and then it fell through or something.
Yes. Once we get into this interview, man, these last 3 years, right after coming into the Orthodox Church, being chrismated and everything, oh my goodness, you wouldn't believe the things I've been through to get where I'm at today.
Well, I want to hear all about it.
Okay.
So, but first, okay, let's get this out of the way. What exactly is Acrod? What does that mean? What is
that? American Carpatho Russian Orthodox Church.
Oh, okay. Okay. Good. Okay. I was afraid you were gonna say you were like there's something else that you were like in some schismatic body. I was afraid you were gonna say.
No.
What is the one? There's like something that starts with an A. There's one that I don't know what it is, but there is one out there that's like, yeah. I try to keep my guests. I try to get Orthodox guests on. I prefer to. That's.
Oh direct. Right, yeah. We're not a schismatic, and our patriarch is Patriarch Bartholomew. So he's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, I'll change that in the description. So I want to hear all about this crazy 3 years, but why don't we just start with your background a little bit? Like you mentioned coming into the church, getting chrismated. I mean, tell me about all that.
Okay, so my background, my history, I grew up. I started going to a Baptist church in my teen years. And then later on in my adult life, I was attending different non-denominational churches, charismatic churches, evangelical churches, just different ones. And I had a completely different experience there than I have here. So I would be in these churches, and the emotion would be there. I would be crying, yes, Jesus, I'm never gonna sin again. All this stuff, just this high emotional state, right? It was pure emotion.
Sure.
And that's on Sunday, and then emotions can be very fickle. And then when I wasn't feeling that elation, then things were different. Like I like to say, on Sunday I was a Baptist, but then the rest of the week I don't know what I was. But with the Orthodox, I'm Orthodox 24/7. There's been a huge difference, right?
Right.
So I went through this huge. This huge soul searching, because I'm like, okay, why are things like this? Why am I so on fire on Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, and then I become this different person? What is going on here? And I never understood it. And one day, I met this guy who ran away from Russia. He was with Cirque du Soleil, and he stayed here when Cirque du Soleil went back, and we become friends. And he said, "Hey, why don't you come to church with me?" I said, "All right. What church do you go to?" And he said, "St. Nectario's Orthodox Church." I went, "Orthodox? What's that?" It was, I knew Catholic, and I knew, Roman Catholic, I knew, and Protestant. That's it. I didn't even know this existed, honestly.
Sure.
I since coming into it, I've heard people say it's America's best kept secret, and I kind of like, wow, so many people don't know.
Well, that used to be true. It's becoming less so. These days.
Oh yes, oh yes. My church is an example of that, and I'm sure we'll get to that. But I to be honest with you, that was about before I returned to the Orthodox Church. There was he brought me here, and it was probably 3 years past before I came back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the way that happened is I was going through a really dry spell in my life. Like I was searching. I was like, man, I want to go back to church, And then the Orthodox, when I visited here, this came back to my mind when I wanted to go to church. And I said, yeah, but I didn't feel anything. Now, this is going to sound worse than what my intention is. But when that thought came to mind, I said, wait a minute. That's it. I didn't feel anything. And I said, I'm going back to the Orthodox Church. And what I meant by I didn't feel anything is I wasn't driven by emotion when I came here. And repentance is a change of mind, right? So I realized it don't matter how I feel. The way I feel, you can throw that out the door. It doesn't matter. Truth is truth. No matter where my emotions are on that sea, on that ocean with the waves and all that, truth is truth, right? And that is what did it for me. Then when I come back here, there's a completely different priest, and his name's Father Dimitri. He's my spiritual father. So he had just came here as well. He started in a ROCOR church, actually.
Oh, okay.
And he's Greek, so so he was in an all Russian church, and it's kind of neat. But anyway, so I came here, and just I want to throw a little something in with that as well. So my son had just started going to church, and he went to this church with a huge youth group, and they have their youth group parties, and they're doing all that. And then after I got here, I was asked, well, what about your son? Is he interested or whatever? And in my mind, I was like, how am I going to pull him away from that? They've got all the bells and whistles and trappings and all that stuff. I said, I got to figure out what to do. Then when I told my son, I said, hey, I'm going to this Orthodox church. He's like, really? He's like, I want to go. And he came here and left out. Boom, he was here, and he was tonsured reader a couple years ago. So he's
oh wow.
Yeah, so it all worked out good, man.
How do you explain that he just jumped at the opportunity?
Well, he told me that so my son has autism, but he's high functioning. He's got high functioning autism. Okay. And he told me, he's like, Dad, he goes, okay, let me back up a little bit. So he always had it put into his head by others that God isn't real, the Bible's fake, all that stuff. He goes, Dad, I've always said to myself, if I ever become Christian, I'm going to become Orthodox. My son knew about Orthodoxy before me. And
wow.
I came to the church before him, but he knew about it before me. So that's how that worked. It was great. I loved it. I was like, thank you, God,
Okay. Wow. How old is your son now?
Well, he just turned 19, but see, the thing is when he turned 13, his mom passed away. She had just turned 40 and she had cancer. So I was, I raised him on my own, from then till now. And I've been a single father this whole time. And I was I didn't want to push my son into anything because he lost his mother, So it just all fell together. I was so thankful because I honestly thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go to war spiritually because this church is so fun that he's going to,
Right. Right.
But he's like, no, he's like, this is what I want. And I went, okay. So it
Cool.
worked out.
And you got where are you? So I like the background you've got. It looks like you're actually broadcasting from church.
I am.
What is?
See, I'm kind of the I'm on the church council. I'm a subdeacon, and I'm also kind of the caretaker. I clean after liturgies and stuff like that. We had a liturgy today.
Oh.
So we have liturgy a lot. So.
What was was there an occasion or do you do it
Yes.
every week? What?
Okay. Oh my gosh, this is this is skipping my brain. Saint our metropolitan is his name day. Saint it's skipping my mind. I'm embarrassed. It's our metropolitan's name day.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So we had liturgy today. So
All right, and so you found the church, you entered the church, and you've been on Twitter this whole time, right? Like,
yes, many ups and downs on Twitter. Yes.
yeah. I'm kind of new to X, I guess now.
X, yes, it's X. Yeah, it's hard for me to call it X.
Right, it's kind of I guess we'll get used to it, but so you don't happen to know anything about these these tunnels, do you?
What in New York?
Yeah. Do you
Boy.
Do you know the scoop with that?
I know the what?
The scoop, like what is that all about? Do you know?
Look, I don't know.
No.
I
Yeah.
don't. It's awful suspicious. That's all I'm gonna say.
So Brother Nathaniel was supposed to go on to the information wars today to explain that, and then Alex Jones backed out of it. He said, "Oh, we're overbooked. We can't have you on." So that was kind of too bad. He would have been the perfect person to explain it. I'm kind of disappointed, but
yeah, probably after that last interview he had with Brother Nathaniel, he was probably told by some people behind the scenes, "Don't do that again." I'm sure.
Right. But he booked him. He did. He had him booked. So I don't know what's going on there.
Right.
Yeah. So apparently he got the call, is what people are saying. So that's too bad. I know that you had so this is a number of months ago. There's some sort of debacle that you had on Twitter. Do you mind talking about that? I don't remember exactly what the details were, but somebody got upset at something you had tweeted, and then they contacted the church authorities or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. I can honestly only get so much into that. But yeah, so something was said, and to this day I don't know. I had screenshots of the whole thing, and I was asking them, what did I do? If you would tell me, I will apologize to you, because he said that he was a priest from Acrod. He said he was a priest, but apparently he's retired. And I offended him somehow. And I don't know how I offended him. I repeatedly asked, how did I offend you? And something happened, and he wasn't too happy with me. And I honestly couldn't figure it out. Many people couldn't figure it out. So, that it was best just to let it go. God bless him. I don't know. I honestly don't know what I did, but somehow I offended him. We've read the thread over and over and over again, and can't figure out what it was.
And did
Go ahead.
no you
But
go ahead.
what caused me to respond initially was I was tagged in a post by somebody that we weren't mutuals. I was tagged, and he tagged me. So I go over to see what's this about, and I commented on it, and he didn't have father in his name. He didn't have that he was a priest. He was just some guy as far as I was concerned, and that's how it all happened.
And then, but what were the repercussions? Like, did they contact your bishop, or
Yeah, and my priest, yes,
your priest, and you were like, you were going to abandon your you wrote something like, oh, I'm going to give up my pursuit of the priesthood and all this.
I know. Yeah, I know this may sound strange, but honestly, with the for lack of a better term, the threats I was receiving, you're going to pay for this. I'm going to contact this. This is. I thought, oh boy, I'm in trouble, and I didn't even know why, and I was scared. I was like, I contacted my priest, and I was like, look, if you don't want me to even serve as subdeacon anymore, I understand. And I honestly, I didn't know how once again, for lack of a better term, the politics of all this worked. Mm-hmm. Somebody that has rank and that kind of thing, and obviously has the ear of my bishop if they can just, talk to them. You know what I mean? I can't really just talk to my bishop. I mean, I could email him or what have you, but
right.
Yeah. So that's I didn't know. It actually worried me. I was like, oh boy, Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess nothing came of it. Like, you didn't get in trouble. Nothing happened.
Well, there was a few outward things that happened. Like, my name on there was Russian Orthodox Subdeacon, and then I was told to change it to Carpatho-Russian Orthodox Subdeacon, and then I was told to drop that and just put Subdeacon. Okay, I didn't ask why. I'm just following the chain of command. I just.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So I changed it, and we spoke about some things, and things like that. I'm not to respond to. I need to keep. If you look at my ex now, I like stay out of politics. Like, I'm any type of political type thing. I don't have an opinion on anymore.
Oh, okay. So you changed what your behavior. You had to. Yeah. Okay. Now this actually this is kind of a discussion I would like to have with you. I mean, I have a few questions. People are saying that eventually what's going on on the internet is just too wild, and the bishops and clergy are going to have to get involved, and we don't want to just abandon the internet as Orthodox. We're obviously we're using it as an effective tool for evangelism. So how do we go about doing this as Orthodox without turning people away from orthodoxy, without obviously a bishop, he just doesn't want to hear complaints, I don't want to be bothered with a complaint about one of my people on the internet. So the bishop, he doesn't care what you're doing on there. He's just going to say, stop it.
Right.
Knock it off. If someone complains to him, if it gets bad enough or something. Like, what do we do as content creators and people who use the internet? I mean, how do we go about do we need to have a blessing to even use the internet? I mean, I interviewed a priest who's Father John Peck, and he said, you don't need to go and get a blessing from your bishop. Just do it. There's something you want to do, he says, just go and do it. Don't wait for all the red tape. They'll just hem and haw, and nothing will ever get done. What are your thoughts on all that?
Well, okay. So Father Dimitri, and when I say Father Dimitri, that's my priest. Father Dimitri, he said you should be able to say whatever you want, but you've also got to be aware that you represent Orthodoxy, you represent our parish. Um, so I just got to be very, very careful because I'm not trying to, alienate people. And
Right.
because of what happened, I am on many people's radar. Okay,
Mm.
it's just that simple. I got accounts following me that I tried to follow them back. The private accounts are following like 300 people, and they've got like 120 followers, whatever, and it's sitting in pending, and I think they're just watching me. You know,
Right.
so
Right.
I'm just kind of careful. So I stay away from. In other words, I'm not going to feed that. I'm not going to give them what they want, so they can just
Right.
watch me and be bored. So
Yeah.
there
I
you go.
mean, my approach to X is I'm gonna try to. Okay, so if someone comes at me with fire, I'm gonna splash it out with water. You know, you
Right.
don't, you don't, you overcome people with love, right? So transform that into, somehow is that's what my approach, my intention on Twitter. I'm gonna try to not, get emotional. Some people obviously they're too emotionally involved because they get actually literally get upset, and you can tell by what they type.
Right. Right.
I don't know why people are emotionally involved with the internet, but yeah, maybe that's their whole life, or I don't know.
Well, like I will like to give you a better specific example. Like I will talk about marriage the way Christ talked about marriage. God made them male and female, and they become one, and that kind of thing. Nobody is going to dispute me on that. But if I was to start typing stuff out like uh, I'm against as this is just as an example. I mean, I'm not going to voice my opinions on all this, but if I was to type out something about I'm against the LGBTQ or two people of the same sex getting married or take that route, that could cause me trouble.
Uh-huh.
But if I just stand on the truth, and that is God made them male and female,
Right,
and
right.
the two become one, that is my take on it. So
Oh, that's genius.
if you want to come at me with that over that, I don't know what to tell you. So
Right.
I'm not the author of that.
Okay. So I wrote this one in the description that I wanted to ask you about the calling to the priesthood. So
Right.
apparently, so you feel that you're called to the priesthood, is that right?
Okay. Let me tell you what happened with that. Okay. So I had our metropolitan was here, and many things have happened in this church. And I told him, I said, I love Father Dimitri. I love this church. I love the people here. I want to continue to serve under Father Dimitri. I'd like to become a deacon. I spoke to him about becoming, go from subdeacon to deacon. And his words to me were, I don't need deacons. I need priests. And our metropolitan is the one that runs the seminary. So we started discussing that. Um, so yes, at this current time, I am hoping to possibly be able to go to seminary this fall. This fall coming up, I've got to make arrangements for my son. I'm all my son has, but however, the seminary has family housing. It has, you know what so it's not like I would have to leave him behind. But the point is that I have to make arrangements for my son. That's the only thing.
Oh, okay.
But I am applying very soon because you have to apply at the beginning of the year and it starts in the fall.
What is the seminary?
You said, where is it?
Which seminary is it?
It's in Pennsylvania.
St. Deacon's? Or
No.
wait, that's in New York. What? Where
No,
is
it's in Pennsylvania. Oh my goodness.
St. Vladimir?
No.
Is it in your jurisdiction?
Yes, it's Acrod. Yes.
Oh, you've got your own. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah. So I'm currently on that path. I mean, once we get into what's happened to me over the past 3 years, you'll understand why I don't completely plan things out anymore. but it's I'm just saying I'm on that path. Okay. If it's not God's will, it'll be stopped.
Okay.
So I'm on that path.
I think it'll be interesting. Will you continue to post on X if you're in seminary?
Yeah, unless I am told not to, of course.
Yeah, I mean that would be good. We do need some. I think we do need a presence of clergy online. You know, they kind of can step in, and people will be respectful of them. Hopefully, you know, obviously there's those who will not care about titles, but like Father Michael Haji Lilly or something like that is on X, right? And he just posted really, like, he's really good with his posts. That he's just like, it's like you said, he's not gonna offend anybody with what he says. It's really good to have that presence on there, you know. So I think it's good that you're doing that. It's interesting to have like someone who's going to become a priest, you know, with this Twitter account. So because not enough, you know, a lot of priests they don't want to go there. But so what is exactly? Tell us, what is the calling to the priesthood? I mean, like, how does a person? I mean,
I'm sorry. What you
just
say?
tell us more about like the calling to the priesthood. Like, what is that? Like, you know, for my audience, who are mostly beginners, you know, a lot of beginners here. Like, what is that all about?
Okay, are you wanting me to tell you from my perspective why I'm called to the priesthood?
Either that, or like the calling to the priesthood in general, you know, or both. Like, just what do you know?
Okay, so a lot of events have taken place, and all I want to do is serve the church. Okay, that is what I want to do, is serve the church. And that is what led up to the calling to go to seminary and become a priest. Because the priest, while he is the shepherd of that flock, he's also the servant.
Right.
And here's what has a lot to do with that. Here's what really inspired me. Father Dimitri, my priest, right? I watch him. I'm here with him every liturgy. I do miss the Vespers every now and then, but that has a little bit to do with work. But really, almost every time these doors are open, I'm here. And I've watched him. And I see what he does. And it's sort of like when you see Christ in somebody, and you see what they're doing and the path they're on, and how they are towards people, you know, it's like, man, I want to be an icon of Christ too, you know. If you understand what I'm saying when I say I want to be an icon of Christ, you know, I just, that's what I see in my priest, you know. So it's like, man, what a wonderful thing, you know. So that is what inspired me. That is what kind of changed everything inside. Now, like I said, I wanted to be a deacon because I wanted to stay here and serve under Father Dimitri. I wanted to serve this church. I love this church. We have it's a double wide trailer, but I believe it's this Sunday. The architect is coming here, and we're in process of getting an actual church built. because we are filling up with catechumens, and the mind-blowing thing, they're all young. They're all young. It's like, wow, where is this coming from? It's so exciting. I'm watching all these new people all the time.
Right.
We can hardly contain everybody. It's an amazing thing. And see, that's the thing. I'm watching this godly growth, and it's like, yes, I want to be a part of that. Yes, I want to be a priest. I want to follow that path, because I am witnessing something amazing that not everybody gets to see. It's a blessing to get to see this and to recognize it.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we see the same thing here, where I am. I think where are you? Florida or
Florida.
something?
I'm in
Yeah.
Florida, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in Oregon, and we got new people. Like, it's been an influx the last couple of years. So glory to God.
Absolutely. And the thing is there's two news reports. Like, no, I don't follow mainstream media, but I follow Orthodox stuff. So they talk about how the church is losing people, how there's less and less Christians. But on the other side, they're saying the Orthodox Church is exploding, and they're absolutely right. But then right after that, you had NPR doing hit pieces on the Orthodox Church as well, because they see what's happening. So there's some journalist, like, her last name is something hyphenated Swartz, and she's done 2 hit pieces on the I think, I believe she's Orthodox, but she goes to these different Orthodox churches and writes up these terrible things on the church. You've probably seen them.
Well, I don't think I've ever bothered to read. I mean, what this person wrote, but I did hear about what they did. She wrote a whole book about our monastery in West Virginia.
Right.
He went there and deceived them, and pretended to be, so that's a terrible thing to do.
Yes, it is. Yes.
So yeah. So what is this? Let's get into this. You've been in a wild 3 years. Like, where to start? Where do you start with telling that story?
Okay. So let's start from January 12th, 2020. Okay. So that's the day I was chrismated into the Orthodox Church. Okay. So what had happened is I had a great job. I was making, decent money. Okay. I was doing well, had a 401k. I had investments, like I did the whole Bitcoin, all that stuff. I had those investments. I had a savings. I mean, everything on that level was going good. Okay. And so I saved up, and me and my son were going to go to Ukraine. Now, this is in 2020. This is before the invasion, or whatever you want to call it, happened. And we were going to leave when he got out of school in June, and we had the tickets. We were set to go. And then something happened where all of a sudden I met, I don't know, probably 10 to 12 Orthodox women in Ukraine, in Kyiv. They're, because it's a big Ukrainian, it's a big Orthodox place over there in Ukraine. And when I say I met them, I mean like like video chat, stuff like that. And I was like, oh, mate, I'll meet up with them, have tea, whatever, and because I'm looking for a wife, because I haven't been married, since his mother died. It's been a long time, and I was waiting to raise him until he was old enough.
Okay.
And I just knew what was going to happen, right? I knew I'm going to Ukraine. I'm going to, have these dinner dates and get to know these people, and find me a wife, and me We plan on going to St. George Orthodox Church, me and my son. It's all made of wood. It's a beautiful church. I don't know if you've seen it, but like the icons are like built into the wall. Like they're not hung on the wall. It's beautiful. So about 1 month before it was time to go, I woke up and my feet were numb, which was weird. And I went to work. My work was 12-hour shifts. So I go to work, I work my 12-hour shift. I come home, and the next morning I wake up and now my hands are numb. Now I got numb hands, numb feet. And I use my hands at work, so I go to the safety guy and tell him, "Hey, look, man, my fingers are numb." And he's like, "Look," he goes, "you're working a lot. Go home, rest, come back tomorrow." Well, then the third day, I still had the feet and hands numb, but I could barely move. Like my legs were like tree trunks. Like I was like, man, there's something wrong, right? So I go to the hospital, and then they admit me. It's like, okay, we got to admit you into the hospital. Now, there's one thing before I go on. I want to tell you this. I told Father Dimitri two things during that time. During that time, because of my schedule, I would miss 4 liturgies in a row, and then I'm able to attend 4 liturgies in a row. Speaking of Sunday, I'm only speaking of Sunday, because our work weeks were 8 days long.
Okay.
12 hours a day, 4 days, 12 hours. You get 48 hours, and then 4 days off. That's how we did it. And if you came in on your off days, you got double time. So sometimes I'd work 7 days and take 1 day off, but long story short, I was missing all these liturgies. So I told him, man, I wish every time this door opened, I was here, and I would like to live more ascetically and all these things that I told him prior to that. But anyway, I'm in the hospital, and then my godmother comes to visit me, and she says, have you canceled your plane tickets yet? I was like, no, it's still a month away. I'm still going to Ukraine. And she said, I don't know. I feel the Holy Spirit saying you're not going. And I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. So 1 week prior to the trip, I canceled my plane tickets. And the next 2 years, I went through this transition. For the first 6 months after getting out of the hospital, which I was hospitalized several times, I was in immense pain. And then I went to using a walker, using a cane, and then I don't need walking aids anymore, but I still have some of the symptoms. But I wasn't able to do that work anymore. Like I physically can't do that kind of work anymore. So I'm self-employed now. I do what I can do. But what happened is Father Dimitri says, well, see, you said you wanted to be here every time the doors open. And then through all that, I lost everything. I lost my home. I lost it all. And I have a vehicle, and my vehicle and probably 2 boxes of stuff is all I have to my name. And so I guess I'm kind of living ascetically, and it's like I get to come here in the morning and drink some holy water, do prayers, because I get to start working when I want. I stop when I want. I make my own schedule. So those things have came to fruition in my life. God, this is what I want to do. He's like, okay, here you go.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. All that kind of worked out. But over this whole time, I've struggled and I fought. I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. The doctors don't know what's wrong with me. They've given me 2 spinal taps because they thought that I had multiple sclerosis, because my symptoms mimic multiple sclerosis. But I've got demyelination. Do you know what demyelination is?
It's something about the nerves have like something surrounding them, right?
Yes.
And it comes
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. It's like fatty tissue. and it's a myelin sheath, and your nerves are in it. They're insulated by it, right?
Right, right.
So when the demyelination happens and your myelin is gone, something is eating that myelin, right? And it's normally an autoimmune disease. Well, the good news is I don't have an autoimmune disease. The kind of bad news is there's really not an answer. They see the demyelination, but they're like, okay, they're kind of scratching their heads because they're like, well, you don't have a progression here. There's so just kind of was left at a dead end, basically. So for 2 years, I didn't even work. I couldn't work. It was tough. It was tough. I did have my savings for a while. I cashed out my 401k. I got rid of all my crypto. Obviously, the church blessed me. The church helped me. They saw my struggles, and they're my family, and they helped me. So I went through every bit of that. And it was all just a learning process and a growth process to where I am today, because I'm going to be honest with you, because this is the truth. And I told Father Dimitri about it. I said, I think I'm dying. I mean, I thought, because of what was happening to me, I thought my body was shutting down and I was dying. I said, Father, I'm scared. I am scared. He goes, what are you scared for? He goes, if you go, I'm going to be jealous of you. And I was like, no. I said, Father, I'm scared. And remember, not long I was brought into the Orthodox Church. I wasn't, I'm still learning, And he goes, well, why are you scared? And I said, well, I don't know what's going to happen to my son. I was worried about my son because I take care of him, right? And I said, I'm scared to meet God. I'm scared to stand before God. I don't want to do it right now. I don't want to do it right now. And I prayed because, well, let me back up just one step. So Father Dimitri told me, he said, you are in repentance right now. And I said, yes, I know that. And he said, well, through your pain and your suffering, you're brought to repentance. And believe it or not, I had a hard time wrapping my head around that, because I said, no, it doesn't count. I kept telling him it don't count. I said, I want to feel good and be healthy and be in repentance. If I don't go to the bar right now, it's because I'm hurting and I can't. I said, I want to make a choice not to go. You follow what I'm saying? I wanted to be in repentance that way.
Yeah.
So, and I begged God, give me a chance. And the king, I can't remember what king it was, that was sick, and I think God gave him 20 more years or 15 years, but he didn't.
Right.
But he didn't turn to God during that time. He's like, Lord, just let me live and I'll live for you, or what have you. Give me 20 more years or whatever it was. So that's kind of the situation I was in. It was so bad that I even told my son, I was like, I don't think I'm going to make it. I said that to my own son because it was bad, But now I've learned that lesson. I've learned what sickness is. I've learned, here's the thing. Father Dimitri tells me, he goes, just remember Job. And it's funny, right after he said that, I had some friends who, they're not Orthodox, but they said, I don't know, maybe you did something wrong and made God mad. Just like Job's friends did. I got told that same exact thing, and I was like, no, I don't understand all this. But now I see it as the blessing that it was,
Yeah.
And I get it now, and hopefully, Lord willing, when the day comes, if it's not a quick passing, if it's one of those times that I'm on a deathbed, that I'm not in that same state of mind where because as Orthodox, we have to prepare for that day. That's what it's all about, because we're all going to die,
Right.
And I know you know this. I'm just saying that I learned this over these last 3 years. These are things I've learned, and it's given me strength. And and he'll tell, like, somebody will tell me something, will plant a seed, and sometimes it takes me a year or two for that thing to sprout and the fruit to come out and all that stuff. And a lot of those lessons, it took me a while, but I learned them. I've learned them, you know, and that's why I'm thankful. But yeah, so this last 3 years has been nothing but growth, but it's because I got sick or had an injury or whatever was wrong with me. It's because of that.
Yeah.
Because remember what I told you at the beginning. Had a good job, money. I'm flying to Ukraine to meet these pretty Ukrainian women, you know, going to get me a wife, you know. God had other plans, right? So so there you go. That's where everything pre-2020, it's like it doesn't even count at this point. Like my whole life, like I don't recognize that side anymore.
Wow. Yeah, God used sickness to bring you closer to him.
Right.
That, I feel that happened to me the same way. If I had never I mean, I got really sick like when I was like a senior in college. I had a psychotic episode, and well, it led to there's a whole story there of what it led to, but it eventually led me to joining the church through a whole series of very very difficult, burdensome trials, which I'm, still kind of suffering repercussions from. So I absolutely understand how sickness is a blessing, and it can draw us closer to God. I mean, depending on how we respond, we don't necessarily have to choose. We still get to choose how we respond, but yeah, wow.
So I just want to say real quick on what you just said. So during that sickness, I did cling close to God, and it wasn't just sickness, but I was in an immense amount of pain. Like I was in excruciating pain, right? And I'm hearing this voice in my ears telling me, "You're only drawn closer to God because of what you're going through. That's you're a fake. That's sort of like." You go to jail, I've never been in prison or nothing, but you go to jail, you get close to God, and then when you're only close to God because you're in jail, and then when you get on the streets, the old man comes back, you know, and that's what this voice was saying to me, that you're only this way because you're sick. When you get over this, you're going to be different, you know, and that's why I kept telling Father Dimitri, this doesn't count. This doesn't count what I'm doing. He's like, yes, it does. He tried to console me, but I was like, how does this count? I'm clinging to God because I'm sick. I want to cling to him when I'm not sick, you know?
Right. I mean, if I had never gotten sick, I'm pretty sure I would have just like gone and traveled the world and had a good time, and I probably never would have repented. So, thank God for all that.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, let's see. Where do I want to take this next? I had something that I was going to say. It's kind of skipping my mind now. Anything else you would like to say?
Well,
Oh, the wife part. Yeah, like you were gonna. You had you posted on Twitter. You said you were gonna get married. Like, how did that happen?
Okay, so here's what happened with that. Because I was discouraged about everything, in our society, it's also part of the reason that I started looking east as far as finding a spouse. And I had met someone that I know from the Philippines, and we were like, okay, look, you're there, I'm here. It could take a couple years, but what if we got engaged and we worked on we have to be apart right now. I understand it, but this way we don't have to worry about it. I'm not out looking for anybody else. You're not, and we could. And my plan was to fly over there now, since I can't go to Ukraine. It was going to be the Philippines. And then because of she lives in a really poor village, and because of my status, because I don't have a great financial status right now because of what has happened to me. She goes to Saudi Arabia, and she's on a contract there for like 2 or 3 years, and she's working as a maid in Saudi Arabia, right? So everything had to be broken off, because there's no relationship. There's not any online video chatting or nothing like that. It's just, okay, well, that's done,
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of how that happened. And I was like, okay, well, maybe this is what you. So I say that to say this. I was told to, as advice, not as a demand, but I was told to stop looking, leave it alone, and just pray. And when God is ready, He'll send the right one. That's what I was told, right? So I've stopped looking. I've stopped worrying about it. Like, honestly, I got to the point where I don't even care anymore. I'm like, God, it's in your hands. You take control of my life. And if God has somebody for me, then it's going to be perfect. Like, nothing's perfect, but you know what I'm saying. It'll be of God. It'll be of God. So I just kind of stepped away from all that and said, I'm going to stop being in the driver's seat and submit my will with those things to God.
Right.
And Lord willing, I go to seminary. God's got about 3 years to make it happen. Because what, if you get ordained and you're not married, now you're a celibate priest. And if that's my calling, that's my calling. But so there's that window. So it's completely up. Like I know I keep bringing him up, but he's so dear to me. But Father Dimitri, right before he was about to sign the papers to be a celibate priest. He was out of seminary. He was about to sign them, and then he met our Pawnee. Right? I mean, that's just the way God works, Just here you go, and he's happy. He's got a great family. It just all worked out. That's the way God works. God moves, and when we don't do it, I'm not saying that if He opens the door, we have to walk through it, obviously. But if we keep doing our will, we'll pick the wrong. We can very well pick the wrong person. You know what I mean?
Going about things willfully is always a problem in the spiritual life.
Right.
I went through a period where I got rejected from monasticism. I got told that I was not fit for monasticism, and I do want to talk about monasticism for a bit with you.
Okay. Oh, absolutely.
But I went through a period of years where I was actively pursuing a wife. I said, okay, well, if I can't become a monk, then I'll try to get married. And I was even reading. I went and read all the red pill stuff. Are you familiar? You know about that kind of?
Yeah.
I read all that, and I was out and approaching. You cold approach. You go up to a woman you don't know, and you try to start a conversation, and I don't know. I probably asked 10 or 20 women out on a date, and it usually, it usually didn't amount to much, and I think I was going about it willfully, like using my own, trying to do it make things happen myself.
Right.
Now, Roosh is an interesting thing that Roosh said. He left the game. He was like, the godfather of the red pill, and he left it. And he said that using game has a 100% failure rate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in terms of ending up in a happily married situation, Christian family, that kind of thing. So I took his advice and I kind of stopped using the game approach and trying to make things happen myself. What do you think? What advice do you give to the young men who do want to get married? Because we have a lot of young men entering the church, and that's what they want. And there's not as many young women coming into the church. So what are they to do?
Yeah, that is a tough one. I mean, obviously, the first thing to do about anything is pray. I mean, that's number one, and seek God's will. I think, wow. I just say wait on God. But if you want to get in the driver's seat and do it yourself, now this is just me talking from my personal experience, is that you're going to find a different culture. Like, you've heard the term passport bros. Have you heard that term, passport bros?
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
these aren't guys that go and sleep with a lot of women or anything. They're passport bros because they go find their wives in Eastern nations.
Right.
And a lot of guys are doing that.
Yeah, it's easier. It's easier to, if you're American, it's really easy to go to a foreign country and find a woman. It's like the difficulty level goes like from 10 to 1.
Right.
Like when I lived in Brazil in 2003, and I had women like approaching me.
Yes.
Which doesn't happen in America, usually.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I mean. My first experience with that was going to be my trip to Ukraine, and I mean, I thought about that a lot, and like I said, it's just my whole world at that point turned upside down. I was never mad because I didn't get to go, but I did sit there and say, why? I mean, why? This was such a big deal to me, and while I don't have an answer, I'm not even looking for an answer anymore. I mean, obviously it's what God willed for my life, and I don't need to know anymore. What happened.
Right.
I'm coming more into that place where I'm wanting to submit every part of what I do to God, and it's been, I mean, I know, let's say I got, 4 years ago, I got chrismated, but this whole journey has been nothing but a learning experience, this whole thing. And I can't, now I'm getting worried about this thing. I can't ever go back. Like I said, pre-2020, like that's foreign to me. That's alien. Like I don't even recognize that part of my life. And plus, I to be honest with you, right before coming to the Orthodox Church, my dating was, I hung out at a biker bar. Like that's the way I dated. I didn't even know how to date as an Orthodox. I was like, well, what do I do? I was around a whole different environment back then,
Right.
And I did. So even that's new to me. I have not dated any Orthodox women since I've been Orthodox.
I think the whole concept of dating itself isn't even Orthodox.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Exactly. Right. I agree with you.
Yeah, maybe if there's someone who you're thinking about, maybe getting into a relationship with, well, the whole point is marriage. There's no dating, boyfriend, girlfriend.
Right.
That's not I don't. I don't. Like I said this before. I don't want to be someone's boyfriend. I'm sorry. I'm not a boyfriend. But if you see someone, maybe you think you might be able to get married, you can maybe just start. I guess have a frank conversation about it.
Well, see, right now I wouldn't go out on a date, but I would sit with somebody at a public place, have coffee and
Yeah,
talk, you
sure.
know, get to know that person a little bit. And if they're not like-minded, if they're not, yes, I'm here for marriage. I'm not looking to date or have another fling or nothing like that. You do have to kind of get to know the person, where they're coming from and what they're wanting. So I would do something like that. But you're right about the whole thing about the way we date in the West and all that. No,
Right. Yeah.
I'm over that. Yeah.
I know there is, if anybody watching out there, I know there is a couple, maybe one or two Orthodox dating apps.
Yes.
I've met one person, I know one person who got married through one of those dating apps. I don't think the one he used is around anymore, but the one I used briefly was orthodoxandsingle.com. So, if people out there watching, might want to give it a try. There's a few, and the quality of the women you're going to find on there is going to be, supremely better than whatever the Tinder or something, whatever the apps.
Right. I think Facebook has some group that's Orthodox dating. However, I had got off Facebook when we started our nativity fast, and I shut it down. And I've been off of it so long now that, like, after 30 days, when you delete your account, they give you 30 days and then they just deactivate it. So
Mm.
I completely let Facebook go. Like, that's gone. I don't have the app on my phone, nothing. It's done. The
Mm.
only reason that I've kept X is because I have so many great mutuals on there. Something happened. I'm not sure what it was, but I started getting all these followers, right? And so I follow everyone back just out of courtesy. I'm not trying to be popular. I'm not trying to get numbers. Hey, 10,000 people follow me and I follow 5. That's
Mm.
just out of courtesy. If you follow me, I'll follow you back. However, there's obviously, if some of the, OnlyFans or whatever it may be will follow me, I'm not going to follow their accounts back, But or one of them that I do have hard time with, and I feel really bad about this, is when the people from Africa, like
Oh,
orphanages
okay.
and stuff, yeah, I'll follow them back, and the first thing they want to do is hey, can you help my orphanages? Like, I'd love to, but I honest to God, I live ascetically, and I don't have a whole lot. I don't even have a whole lot of money,
Right.
and I mean, I can't. I'm not withholding anything, but I can't. But I get bombarded with that,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I see that on Facebook a lot. So I just, I don't really accept those friend requests, because if you accept one, you're going to get 10 more the next day. So,
Right. Right. So like I said, I follow everyone back, just as courtesy. I mean, if you're gonna follow me, thank you. Here you go. I'll follow you back. I'm not trying to be that person. I don't care if I got 5 followers or a million. It just, either way, it's not gonna make a difference. But because I got so many awesome people that I'm connected with on there, and
uh,
90 90% of them are Orthodox. I
right.
mean, there's some Catholics, non-denominational, just some really conservative people, which is funny because I personally, I'm not on either side of that political spectrum. I got a lot of Trump people that are mutuals with me, and God bless them. I'm not, you know, but like I said, I'm not on that either or spectrum on that. So
Here's a good comment from David. It says, of course, there is 100% failure of game-based relationship because quote-unquote game is based on manipulative control techniques to create an imbalanced attachment. Sounds like sounds like David has a pretty good, clear understanding of that phenomenon.
I would like to say something about Roosh. Here's an interesting fact. I never knew him as the game guy. The way I found Roosh before they kicked him off of YouTube was he had this series called Babylon Road. Did you watch it?
I not only watched it, but I attended one of his talks.
Okay, so that was my introduction to Roosh. I never knew this other Roosh everybody's talking about.
That
So
was
I
about
called,
that
what's
was
that?
when I started. That was when I started following him too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I called him up one day because
Really? How'd you get his number?
he had a live call-in
Oh,
thing.
okay.
I recorded it too. I screen recorded it, but I called him and we're talking. I said, Roosh, you know what, man? I don't know that old you, that's person that wrote these books and games. And he goes, well, that's a good thing. And I went, well, I guess I don't know anything about that. I followed you starting on the Babylon Road thing, which was great. I love the way he put that together. That was pretty amazing. But he's kind of disappeared though from my radar. I don't know.
Oh well, he slowly, stepwise, started taking steps away from public life. And he had a he had his own website, and he had a forum, a large forum, which was, its heyday was back probably maybe eight years ago or something. That the forum was probably bigger back in around 2016. But he converted the game forum into a Christian men's forum, and it was the Roosh V forum. And I participated in the forum, and I made a YouTube video, a live stream about it. People can go look on my past live streams if they want to watch it.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch it. Yeah.
But I noticed, a couple of months ago, maybe this by now is maybe 3 or 4 months ago, he stopped accepting he said the quality of the postings had gone down on the forum, so I'm not accepting any new memberships. And I thought that's kind of odd. That's a strange, and I didn't know what I noticed. I said that's kind of a strange, odd step to do. I'm not sure why he's doing that. But sure enough, a month later, he announced that he was going to shut the forum down. And he was stepping away from public life. He wants to live a private life now. So to all the people out there who were saying, oh, Roosh is just a grifter and this whole Christianity thing is a grift and he's not serious about it, he's put his money where his mouth is. He stepped away from public life. He's not making money from this. He's serious about his spiritual life. So, God bless him. The forum has gone on and been reborn as a different forum. It's called Christ is King, which is now just a Christian men's forum that might be able to find it if you search for it.
Okay.
So yeah, I participate in that forum a little, not as much as I did on Root 3, but
right on. I had no idea that's what happened with him, but that's good. That's a good thing. I just, like I said, I know he used to post on Gab, and I haven't seen much on there.
Right.
That's the only other thing I have. Because me and do you have a Gab or no?
I do, but I just never use it because
there's not a lot of interaction on there.
Yeah.
There's some neat people on there, and me and Andrew Torba, we follow each other on there. He's
oh, do you?
Yeah, he's a good guy, man. I mean, I can't figure out what exactly he believes. I mean, I know he comes out as Christian, but he posts Orthodox stuff. Like he's posted icons and stuff like that, and he's never came out and said I'm Orthodox, or I mean, I can't figure it out. I guess if he was Orthodox, he'd say so. I assume,
Right.
but he is what people would refer to as a Christian nationalist. So that is a fact, because he wants, just like you have a Jewish nation like Israel, he wants to have an all Christian nation. So.
Yeah, he wrote a book about that, I think, called Christian Nationalism, right?
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think about Christian nationalism?
Well, it depends. I mean, as long as it's not, how do you say it? As long as it's not like fascist, if it's based on, Christian law, God's law, I mean, and when I say that, I mean, for instance, I think pornography should be illegal. I think it should be 100% illegal, right? That would be part of a Christian nationalist
Right.
society, But I'm for that. God's for that, I mean, that kind of society I would love to live in.
Yeah, it would be better than what we have now. I don't think I could throw my full support behind anything but an Orthodox monarch, honestly.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm for that too. I would love to have an Orthodox monarch. That'd
I
be
would
great.
move. I would get up and move to that country if some country decides to start that. I'll do it. So, in the occasion that you don't get married, would you become a monk, or would you just be a celibate priest without becoming a monk?
It's funny that you've asked that, because I have brought that up several times. If I had to take that path, I would prefer to be a monk, to be completely honest with you, than to instead of taking the celibate priest route. I would much rather join a monastery and be a monk. And I've also discussed possibly a priest monk, right?
Right.
And I can become a priest and become a monk, right? So there have been people like out in Alaska that saw when I said that online one time, and they contacted me. They said, "Hey, we're in desperate need of that. If you ever come to that place in your life, please get a hold of us." And like, wow, that's pretty neat. I mean, Alaska, that's a big move, but
So, who is this? What did they need?
a priest monk. I don't, that's the only details I remember. It was a while back when they,
Was it a monastery or
okay. So there was some man, he built a church. He built a parish on his land. Like he gave the land to the church, and I mean, it's his land, but he like deeded it to the church and built a church there.
Oh, okay.
And now this is from what I remember. Like I said, it's been a while, but they had cells there, and they were going to also, even though it's an open church, we're going to also have monks there, taking care of everything.
Oh, okay.
So it's almost like having a parish with a almost like a monastery attached to it, but it's not really a monastery. It just has like cells there for the monks. And I guess, yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting too. But I mean, I'm years away from that.
All right. Yeah.
So I mean, because that's that, but I don't know what's going to happen.
Right. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to wind the interview down. This has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on here.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anything else? I mean, is there anything else you'd like to say, plug, or
No, if anyone out there is on X and they follow my X, I'll follow them back. I mean, if they want to, have be mutuals with me or be in contact with me or whatever, I'm more than willing to do that. I mean, I don't have anything to plug. I don't sell anything. I don't.
Right.
But
I'll plug. Well, this isn't for sale. This is my album. I'm a rapper. And so I think I want to just plug this every once in a while. This actually you can't find. It's not for sale anywhere. I have a couple copies. Maybe I'll put them on eBay or something one day. But you can, if you want, to all my audience out there, you can go to Bandcamp and download it for free. This album came out 2011. It's a free download on Bandcamp. Just search Young Penitent. And all you have to do is put in your email. And the email is just because if I ever wanted to send out like a weekly email, I've never sent out a weekly. I don't have a email list even. But I think I should start one. So I made it so you have to put your email. But an email for an album, I mean, that's a good deal. And so you can just listen to my album for free, and listen, have your fun listening to that. People like it. They listen to it over and over. I mean, the quality, I think looking back on it, I think the production quality is a little low. It's not like up to the professional level, but the raps are professional level, definitely. It's got some good eclectic types of music on there. And I do have a new song out. The song is for sale on Bandcamp. It's called Iron Humbles. And it's a song about lifting weights that I wrote. And you can, if you haven't seen that music video, go watch it. As soon as you're done watching this interview, go navigate to my YouTube page, click Iron Humbles, and watch the video. And subscribe to my channel. Like this video. Subscribe, because that's just what people do. People just subscribe to Young Penitent. That's what they do.
There you go.
And go.
Let me ask you. So is this rap that you do? Is it Orthodox? Like
Yes.
Orthodox lyrics?
Yes, absolutely. I wrote the whole album after I was Orthodox. So.
Oh, okay. I got to check that out then. Awesome.
Yeah, and go download it free, man. Free download.
Sorry. Okay, I'll go check it out.
Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's the interview for today. Thank you everybody for watching. And Christ is born
In the Jordan. No, wait a minute. I'm sorry. We've been saying in the Jordan around here because we say Christ is baptized. That's what we're doing right now.
That's what's next.
That's what. Wait a minute. Are you on a different calendar?
I'm on the old calendar.
That's why I'm sorry. Around here people say Christ is baptized. We say in the Jordan. That's why I said that. I apologize. I'm on the wrong page.
Where did did you see that thumb on the screen?
I did. I saw it. What was that?
Where did that come from? So maybe someone subscribed. Interesting. I've never seen that before.
Okay.
All right. So good night, everybody. Thank you for watching. And Christ is born. Glorify him.
Glorify him. Yes. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good one, man.
All right.